Welcome to Warhammer Warscroll Review. In this video, we're taking a look at the Khone unit, the MIghty Skullcrushers.
Warscroll Review.
MIghty Skullcrushers are a relatively new unit, but the idea has been around for a while. A mortal follower of Khone atop a juggernaut. Starting with the Warscroll stats, we have a decent 8-inch movement, plus their musician increases their run and charge rolls by 1. Defensively, the models are 5 wounds with a 4-up save and bravery 6. This puts them mostly on par with other monstrous cavalry, but bravery 6 can really hurt these models. Losing just one model to retreat is a huge chunk, so mitigating battle shock tests is a must. Luckily, their standard bearer comes in with +1 bravery, and if the unit slays any models, that is increased to +3. Now bravery 9, we can get behind. Each model will have one of 2 weapon options, as well as their mounts attacks. The rider can choose between the ensorcelled axe and the bloodglaive. The 2 weapons have the usual trade, accuracy for rend. The axe hits on 3s with no rend, while the glaive hits on 4s with rend 1. Both come with 2 attacks that hit on 3s, but only damage 1. Khone have a few ways to mitigate accuracy, so I'd recommend the bloodglaives for the rend. In typical AOS fashion, the mount does more damage than the cavalry rider. The Juggernaut's brazen hooves have 3 attacks each, with 3s to hit and wound. Neither of these weapons stand out as being incredibly killy, but the models do have some more special rules to increase their offensive ability. Murderous Charge triggers when the unit completes a charge. At the end of the charge phase, roll a die for each enemy unit within 1 inch of the Juggernauts. On a 4-up, they are dealt D3 mortal wounds. If the unit of Skullcrushers includes 6 or more models, this is increased to D6 mortal wounds. Now this is a solid way to deal damage. Be sure to charge multiple targets, because only rolling one 4-up is going to fail half the time, and they will be left to their mild weapons. With their big oval bases, this shouldn't be too hard to touch multiple units, especially if you charge sideways. Defensively, they have one more special rule to cover. Their brass-clad shield offers a 4-up save against wounds or mortal wounds dealt through spells. This is pretty nice and really deters opponents from using their magic on this unit. Skullcrushers come in units of 3 and cost 140 points. The unit maxes out at 12 models. Taking 6 is probably the way to go for the D6 mortal wounds on the charge, but that means the opponent needs to kill just 1 before dropping their mortal wound output by half. These models normally have no battlefield roll, but with a Mighty Lord of Khone on Juggernaut, these things become battle line. Although they are a bit more expensive than Bloodletters, they may be a better battle line if the player is going for the minimum unit size. They can hold objectives more reliably, as they are more defensive, plus they move a bit faster. Skullcrushers fit decently in a Khone army. The Blood Tithe chart has multiple results that would be helping out the Skullcrushers. Murderlust and Apoplectic Frenzy would let them move, charge, and or pile in during the hero phase. Relentless Fury has them attacking even if they are killed. Crimson Rain could be helpful as well, healing every Khone unit D3 wounds. Nice for keeping your Juggernauts in tip-top shape. A few Khone command traits also work well for the Skullcrushers. Bloodsworn allows nearby Khone mortals to use the character's bravery, which is nice until they slay a model for that bravery 9. In addition, Violent Urgency would allow nearby models to reroll charge rolls. For artifacts, the first place to look are often the Banners of Khone. The Banner of Rage allows the model to reroll hit rolls of 1, while the Banner of Blood rerolls failed charge rolls. The Talisman of Burning Blood is a trophy of war that is also worth mentioning. This one adds 1 to charge and run rolls. Paired with their Musician's ability, they become somewhat speedy. Khone Prayers are also extremely beneficial to Mighty Skullcrushers. Killing Frenzy is great for the +1 to hit. Resanguination heals back D3 wounds, and Brazen Fury prevents them from having to take battle shock tests. But Bronze Flesh stands out a bit more with this particular unit. +1 to save on Juggernauts. Giving them a 3-up save is actually pretty defensive these days, and with a Mystic Shield they are even more durable. In terms of unit synergies, Khone is quite a bit, and being as we're talking about Mortals of Khone, the list grows even longer. The Bloodstoker will be the first I mention, with its Whip to Fury special rule. This one increases the target's run or charge by 3 inches, and lets them reroll wound rolls of 1. The offensive boost is nice, but getting that extra movement is really nice, to increase the amount of units within 1 inch after the charge. Other ways to increase their charge range would be Skarak the Bloodborne, or a Mighty Lord of Khorne. Gaining extra attacks is quite easy in a Khorne army. Bloodsecrators, Aspiring Deathbringers, and Wrathmongers all come to mind. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord's unique spell enhances offense and defense at the same time. Demonic Power allows the target to reroll hit, wound, and save rolls of 1. One of the biggest bonuses to this unit comes in the form of a Warscroll Battalion. The Brass Stampede includes a Lord of Khorne on Juggernaut, and 3 to 7 units of Mighty Skullcrushers. Firstly, they charge an extra 3 inches if any units were slain during the game, not a hard prerequisite. The other portion of this battalion allows the Skullcrushers to automatically pass the Murderous Charge roll if they finished their charge near another unit from this battalion. Probably the best boost for this unit, as their mortal wounds are their main source of damage. D6 mortal wounds automatically on all units within 1 inch after they charge is pretty solid. While this battalion is fairly expensive, it can make up your leader and battle line requirements, making it a potential groundwork for an army. In general, the Mighty Skullcrushers can somewhat go by themselves, but they can't really be relied on to take out solid targets. With a few bonuses, they will serve a bit better role. Be sure to capitalize on movement or charge-based augments. This is to increase their reach and maximize on their murderous charge ability. When facing Skullcrushers, spread out as much as possible and don't let them charge. If you see units of 6, take them down to units of 5 to drastically decrease their effectiveness. Mighty Skullcrushers receive a 2 out of 5, and they rely heavily on a 4-up roll to deal their mortals, so they can be somewhat middling at times. What do you think of Skullcrushers? What Warscrolls would you like to see reviewed next on the channel? Leave your suggestions and thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.